Hey guys, and welcome to this Legion Tower Defense 2 video guide. Today we're gonna discuss my favorite open in the game, which is the Violet start. Let's head right into it. The Violet is the tier 3 upgrade of the Element Legion. With a total cost of 265 gold, it is a perfect unit if you want to build a Lioness. It got natural HP and impact damage. Its ability is Lightning Strike, which shocks up to 5 nearby enemies for 120 plus 1% max health magic damage. This means that it's not only dealing single target damage, but also some sort of AoE. Especially the percentile damage will be a big effect in the later game. There are two different ways to start with Violet. One goes with 3 workers, and the other one with 4 workers. I'll just show you. Overall, you don't want to start Violet with a 25 gold tier 1 at all. So let's have a look at the other tier 1. If you got a Polywog, you gotta start with a 3 worker start. You build 1 Violet or 1 Windhawk on the side and 1 Polywog or 2 Polywogs on the other side. Depending if you build 2 Polywogs, you will be able to hold the wave but might send a snail. If you only build 1 poly, you might leak 2 units or something, but will be able to achieve the Violet if you got full income. With the other 2 units that cost 20 gold, which are Protons and Buzz, you add 1 on their side and on the other side of course a Windhawk. You gotta send 1 snail on wave 1 or do 1 king upgrade to be able to afford the Violet on wave 2. If you got one of these 3 tier 1 units, I recommend the 3 worker Violet start. With the other 2, which are Bone Warrior and Looter, there are special starts that are pretty good. First, we're gonna have Looter. On one hand side, it's again a 3 worker start, but I'll show you how to place it. You'll do 3 Looters on the side and 1 Pack Rat. You will now be able to afford 3 workers and a Windhawk. In round 1, you're gonna send the Pack Rat away together with you, which is a bit more than you can regenerate with the worker you're not building. If you got a snail, fine, you can send it away next round again. If you don't get a snail, just leave it outside on wave 2 and you'll be fine. You don't need to add anything else. Then on wave 3, you just go for the Violet. If you got Bone Warrior, just do the following things like I do. Add 3 Bone Warriors on wave 1. This is fine for you and you will hold the wave. You will now be able to push 4 workers. On wave 2, you add these 2 Bone Warriors I'll show you here. The one in front of the Violet is pretty important because if you get a turtle, this one will tank the turtle for the Windhawk. With this build, you should almost always hold wave 2 against a Dragon Turtle. Now you've started 4 workers and can afford a Violet on wave 3. Maybe you gotta sell 1 or 2 Bone Warrior, but that's intended. The Violet starter is that strong because you're pretty much safe the first 3 waves if you follow all my steps. The only problem you may have is if you get a snail sent on wave 1 you leak tiny, or if you got a Polywog you will leak pretty much. So Polywog is really risky. On wave 4, and if you expect a send here, you may leak a bit. So if you got a Fiend and you attack the Fiend pretty early, you're gonna leak like 50% of the wave. That's why you wanna get a decent split with a few tier 1 units or add another Windhawk, or you can also add a Varg like I showed you here in the recommended units. After this you can just go on pushing. On wave 5 I marked unsure again. This is basically only a value thing. If you got like around 400 value and you get a send around 60 to let's say 80 or 100, you may be able to hold. But of course it always depending when your Violet dies, because your Violet will be dealing magic damage on wave 5, which is pretty strong against it. So try to make your other units maybe tank or anything else so that the Violet lives the longest. Also be aware that on wave 5, splitting is critical. If you have any more questions about splitting, check out my splitting guide I will link down in the description. Violet is a beast on wave 6. You can hold with pretty tiny value. For example, a violet and a few tier 1s on the other side as a split can hold no cent. But care if you didn't get a cent for a long time, add a few things like more tier 1s and a windhawk to be safe here on this wave. In most of the cases, if you get a cent on wave 5, you want to push hard and also shift a bit of gold to build a big unit on wave 7. I will show you now how you should build on wave 7, because here's the first really critical wave of Violet. It is a critical wave because wave 7 is dealing magic damage and Violet is natural armored. Also, the spell of Violet is dealing magic damage, which is bad against the arcane defense of wave 7. So, what are the first units I could imagine to build against? The first one is Leviathan. I have to say that this is the most critical one because of the range. The Violet will always tank before the Leviathan because Leviathan has such a big range. But in later game this will be pretty good because of the damage buff the Violet gets. So if you don't have any other choice, you can do a Leviathan if you for example added a Tempest already on wave 4 or wave 5 to hold this wave. But overall, Leviathan may be leaking with your Violet on wave 7. The best and most common one is Banana Bunk. You gotta shift, I'd say around 100 gold on wave 6, depending on your income of course, to get this bunk done. Place it like 3 or 3.5, 4 squares above the Violet on the third row on either side where you're building to be able to make a tank and not the Violet. Violet into Banana Bunk is one of the most common played combos I would say in higher elo. And the third one is Sandbadger. Sandbadger is the best vanilla tank in the game. It will tank your wave 7 for a really long time because of its arcane armor type. Same with Bunk, place it a few fields, a few squares above the Violet, like I would say 2 or 2.5 to make sure that this one is tanking even if you get some tanks. Then add some split with these units and you should be fine. If you got Banana Bunk or the Sandbadger, you will be able to hold with around 650 value against Sands up to 120, but don't name me on this. I hope you've learned some things about my favorite start in Legion. Have a nice day and keep grinding.